Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CCL. We just saw quite the match, number 1 of 3-1 favoring Carleton University over Rutgers University, and it was just insane back and forth from the both of them. We're about to hop in with the number 9 FSU Garnet up against the number 16 E4 Knights. It's myself, Seymour, alongside Proper. Let's dive right into this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one. Throughout the many times that I have seen FSU Garnet play, when I kept on looking at this the Southwest Conference, when I kept looking at this coastal region in this A division, I haven't seen any UCF. I haven't seen any E4 Knights, baby. I'm excited to see them. Both these teams are 4-0. One of these teams are going to have to lose today. One of them are going to be 4-1 by the end of the day, and I definitely am here for it. They've only seen 3 maps. They have won each of their series that have played documented on our website 3-0. So this might just be either a very close match, or maybe we might just be able to see who's really at the top of this region.
The fact that both of these teams are sitting at 100% win rates across hardpoint, search, and control, and they're both about to go head-to-head in this match, it gets me so fired up. And the fact that the storylines are also building more towards for the early game of E4 Knights as well, considering that Crossroads, Raid, and Garrison, they have a really good stat pool across that with 4-0 on Crossroads, Raid, pretty much 3-0 on that one, and then Garrison 3-0 on that one as well. So seeing E4 Knights here, they have a really good veto opportunity across this map pool.
Absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, the E4 Knights, they should feel right at home, though you could say the same thing about FSU Garnet. You could see the entire 5 best of 5 map set right above our beautiful faces. And if we have to go to maps 4 and 5, that Moscow Hardpoint and Miami Search and Destroy will be looming in the distance. But I mean, this Crossroads Hardpoint, although yes, for E4 Knights, you have only played here. That's great. But you've also looking for FSU Garnet throughout all the other hardpoints that they have played. And although only playing here once, what I believe was in a win 250-32 or something like that, that was over Kaiser University a few weeks ago. So, I mean, you're definitely feeling a little strong here, but you definitely have your, I guess, all the eggs in the basket if you are an FSU Garnet fan. This team has a lot to offer to the table. And that's not just map knowledge and just overall game knowledge as well. It's just all overall just gun skill. I mean, when you do have the likes of Greg Moth playing along with Rosin. I mean, this team is something that you do not bet an eyelash at here, Seymour. You do not look twice, otherwise you will get gunned by an SMG. And I'm not going to lie here. If you catch a qual, then they're snapping and they're piecing together. This is probably going to be looking like a dominant match for FSU Garnet. But again, E4 Knights, I'm excited to see what they have to offer. Show me why you're a 4-0 team.
Well, let's look right into this Crossroads hardpoint, ladies and gentlemen. FSU Garnet, the red team, E4 Knights on the blue side. Kusa already breaking open with First Blood along with Jumper, so they're going to have the initial time in the first hill, along with pushing for the second point spawns, which I do love to see. E4 Knights very practiced in this sense. Jumper going to be taken off the first hardpoint, and it's Skirmish from Moth, wiping it off from 2, and they're going to retake this and look to push for more.
We'll potentially try to get more here. I mean, E4 Knights there, you're trying to slowly work their way over by the hop-up, over by where the cargo containers are at, but that angle was being held. Exile, they haven't left this northeast sandbags position since the beginning of the game, and although the hardpoint is open right now, we're just down to 15 seconds, so now we can look towards new for P2. E4 Knights still struggling to try to work their way in here, so FSU Garnet will be here initially, and they're going to be looking to set up good money time, as many teams do here on 2.
You see Exile all the way in the back, holding down these spots for point 2. Moth in the point. Initial time to FSU this time. And just biding it, waiting for E4 Knights to start this. Some brilliant shots from Exile, but he's getting naded off from Santi. RJ with the Kobe. And now is the follow-up from the rest of the team. Rosin, a beautiful double kill. Holding back this initial push. Good time right now from FSU Garnet, but the spots have been uprooted right behind them, and you do see E4 Knights now with the split and the skirmish on the point. Very chaotic as E4 Knights now spawning out. Rosin going to clear this. They only have 1 left. Dave in the back of the map for E4 Knights. If they can pick this kill up, they're going to get the majority of the rest of this. Rosin on a 5 spree. 2 players on point, and the rest should be FSU for point 2.
It should be FSU Garnet, but when you're looking at Counter-Strike Hardpoint as a whole, maybe you're new to Call of Duty and all of its competitive likes, but Counter-Strike Hardpoint, when you're looking to get your leads, when you're looking to get your comebacks, it's from 3 to 4. You only have just so far to go, but for FSU Garnet, getting a handful of more time off of P2 than getting the setup for P3, they have a few gunfights ahead of them. They have to win the one here inside of the hill, unsuccessful, but then they have to come back and win a second just to break the spawns. E4 Knights with the proper setup, they're going to be able to get themselves on the board here, potentially to take the lead in the next few hills.
That was beautiful as well, you know, letting FSU into fire. And then Ammunitions just cleared right on with force sweep from E4 Knights. Now Costa watching this first line of defense. Ross is going to find the better of him. Now back and forth Jumper too, with Santi helping him out as well. Now Jumper watching over this. Taking over where Costa was at. Continuing his reign of terror, 24 seconds on this, and they have a good lockdown of 0.3 to 0.4, and Jumper holding his own right now on the point. Exile taking him down, a big kill for FSU to start this initial retake of these points and try to push them on back to Top Rock.
Try to break inside these big rock spawns are easier said than done, and well, FSU Garnet, they're going to have to try to feel as comfortable as possible inside the fire hill. No players trying to work their way upside the cliff path, but Greg Moth, they find two. That's the entry point. Now you got to start working your way inside this hill, but Rosin, they still spawn out. You did not get in here quick enough. So E4 Knights, they have the close spawns for reinforcements, but FSU Garnet, they got the kills. Still spawning in by the big rock currently are the E4 Knights, but getting the hill timer of FSU Garnet. They're looking to build this past 20 points.
This is huge for FSU. I mean, Equal just sitting here pretty with the rest of the team slaying out. I know Equal had a little bit of work to do, and he completed that, but now Greg Mock just slaying all around Ammunitions. He's going to be challenging for this third one. Swaps the pistol, but not going to find that RJ. Going to take him down now. Still pushing and still sieging out this fourth point, as it is going to be FSU holding these spawns, but E4 just knocking on the door, trying to now hold them back in Top Rock spawns so that they have the majority and the initial setup on point one, which I do love to see from E4 Knights.
So after the first set of hills, I mean, E4 Knights, they almost really made this a tied game towards the end of the first set with the P3 to P4, but a big break comes through from FSU Garnet that you saw, and that's why they have themselves in this 50-point lead. Like you were talking about, E4 Knights, they did previously hold those P2 spawns, but it's crossroad strike, hard point, baby.
Exactly.
Those spawns are going to get broken up at least 2 more times before we make our way over towards P2. An early break comes through for FSU Garnet, and look at the spread. You got Exile looking through the middle lane, hit all the help needed to keep this in your favor.
And FSU coming alive. Rosin is going to drop, but not before taking down Dave with that nade, giving Grogmoth the rest of the time here until that challenge comes back in. Grogmoth going to go for the swing. Dave actually going to find that kill. I thought Moth had that dead to rights. Still holding on to spawns. FSU now being pushed back by Costa and Jumper. Dave chiming in for one of his own, holding down these spawns. About a 40-point lead, it looks like right now, but once again, E4 Knights trying to take down these spawns to go down for FSU. Exile left in the back all alone. Hunting now. Jumper's going to go down, but Dave's going to clean it up. So E4 successfully taking 0.2 spawns and locking it down early.
P2 has popped. E4 Knights, what's the setup looking like? Great control over top catwalk. Now you got to look towards this north and open lane. 3 quick kills in succession come through for E4 Knights. They're about to bring themselves right back inside this game, but then you're going to be waiting for a last-ditch attempt for FSU Garnet to try to break inside this hill, but it's going to cost you because you're looking from 3 to 4. A set of hills, you can get a solid 80 seconds of time. That'll put FSU Garnet in the long haul over 200 points, but they hit it one more time. That's going to flip the spawns out. Nobody's getting the hill time so far, but there's still 25 seconds that FSU Garnet can soak up.
Was expecting this to be a bloodbath, and a bloodbath we are given. Still 20 seconds here to be gained from either side. E4 Knights going to be capturing it right now, but cleared off is Costa. They're going to be setting up now for Ammunitions, and last time around, E4 Knights had the early time on this Ammunitions, gave it up for FSU to retake, and then full wiped them for 4 with a really good retake of the point. You're looking at FSU to break early, but a really good setup right off the bat from E4 Knights once again proper. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from this squad. Off this point, they might be able to even tie this one up. And from that 3 to 4, you could possibly see a lead switch.
You just might, but just when we said that in the first set, it got broken up by FSU Garnet on the back 30, but still with 40 seconds remaining, these pinstripe kill feeds, these trades, these are only going to favor E4 Knights. Costa with the big 2 gets traded on back, but here's Sansi immediately putting the feed back on the site itself, but Moth with a big trade. Jumper coming back in to mix things back up. Again, all these trades, you're feeling okay if you're E4 Knights because you haven't lost the P4 spawns. The Big Rock has not been upset Seymour, and the E4 Knights are absolutely flourishing here. They give up the back 20. Jumper's going to wait for the cross, but inside the hill for P4 is where you can really get a lot of time on the board.
You know, it was only a matter of time before FSU pushed on through like last time. Costa, now the last one picked up by Rawson. Now a really good opportunity for FSU to blow open this game. Dave is going to be pushing on in. Picked up once again by Rawson, sitting on his head. 24 and 14, alongside Exile pretty much mimicking the score lines. Rawson just pushing through this team, bullying his way past E4 Knights. And Now E4 Knights trying to take control of Big Rock, but really good hold on these spawns. Equal just locking down the point, and Exile making sure that nobody can touch him.
I mean, Equal's just got his feet up over there underneath the tents, got himself a nice little cup of hot cocoa, maybe a little bit of big marshmallows. That's how I like it, so you know. But past the 200-point mark here for FSU Garnet for sure. E4 Knights are going to try to contest this one last time. They'd be wise to do so. If they have any hopes to try to come back inside a third set of hills, it's going to have to come through from contested and scrappy breaks, but they're going to have to play just damn near clean hardpoint. And it's just those holds, those breaks that we have not seen from E4 Knights through the previous 2 sets. I mean, yes, through the previous 2, we have seen strong holds onto 3, but they've gotten broken up on the back 20 for those E4 spawns twice on over now. You're going to have to be able to practice really decisive gun placing and also gun fights, so that way you can really come back inside this game, E4.
And it really kind of stems off of their holds for the spawns, because, you know, the initial time's always been gained from E4 Knights, and then just from the spawn route, FSU has just pulled away as deep throwing E4 Knights each and every time. But now, initial time on P1, E4 Knights can be holding it right now. Dave in a crucial one-on-one between Greg Moth. Greg Moth going to find that one. Dave goes down, and now FSU in hold of this. They can win off of this hard point. So if you're E4 Knights, you got to put the pedal to the metal. You have to contest this, and you have to force a point number 2, but a full white for the Knights. You're going to be spawning point number 4. You only need 6 seconds left for E4 Knights to drop this point, and it looks like FSU with Grogmoth on it, just locking down point number 1, are going to go up 1-0 in this series proper.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you're just talking about this matchup as a whole, even the prerequisites really just stand for themselves. I mean, Rosin walking into this across 12 maps for the stat pool that we have on our website is sitting at 2.51 overall KD. As an SMG player, that's exactly what you want. Jumper on the other side, 2.60, which is why you see them having the best play. Just always trying to keep UCF, the E4 Knights, inside of that crossroad strike hardpoint. It's just, you can't really just do it as a solo player. It's got to come down to teamwork, and that's what we ended up seeing continuously from FSU Garnet. A handful of kills came through, maybe yes, a 2-piece from Greg Moth, or you ended up having it come through from any of the other members, and then they slowly took the map away from E4 Knights. It was slow, methodical. They knew that they couldn't break inside the P3 until 20 seconds when they had the open space when E4 Knights were looking for the setup in towards new, and that was the go button. That was just the one gunfight that they needed for them to really cement themselves to the lead through all sets of hills that were played.
And that's really scary, too, looking at the rest of the series, knowing that Moscow Hardpoint is your map number 4. So if this does go the difference, just seeing how practiced a team like FSU Garnet is on a game mode like Hardpoint is just a little bit scary when you're E4 Knights. You have to look for that now. You have to play that teamwork like you're talking about. You have to make sure that when you have that initial setup towards the points, that you can make sure that you can hold down those spawns and you can slay out FSU Garnet. Now, granted, Crossroads and Moscow are 2 different maps, like in a total. As you know, the deep response for Moscow might give E4 Knights that, I guess, that comfortable AR play, but we have to make it to map 4 first for us to see that story unfold. Right now, Raid Hardpoint, you're talking about teamwork, and teamwork is basically the name of the game when you're talking about Raid.
Yeah, and when it's Raid Search and Destroy 2, you are, again, looking for your submachine guns to make plays happen through the middle of the map, to break inside these sites, to retake power positions through open staircase, through pillars, inside kitchen, and then your ARs to be locking down those power positions. And that's just something that we got to see work just almost flawlessly through the back end of those crossroad strike hardpoint from FSU Garnet. But UCF E4 Knights, I mean, they were sharing the legwork when it came down to what they were able to showcase when we were inside those P3 hills. That's probably when they were getting the majority of their time. And when it comes down to Raid Search and Destroy as a whole, I mean, they do look pretty darn comfortable here. Raid Search and Destroy for E4 Knights, they played this the majority out of every Search and Destroy that they have played so far through the regular season in this split. And if there's one big thing that you can look at for both these teams, they have both beaten Full Sail Armada, yes. But how do they size up? E4 Knights, they have a little bit more of an easier time versus Full Sail Armada. FSU Garnet, they kind of got pushed a little bit further back on Raid Search and Destroy when they played here on this map mode combo 6-4 versus the 6-0 that E4 Knights brought upon Full Sail Armada.
And now we saw Raid Search and Destroy yesterday as well, proper. And when we were watching these teams play, you saw a lot of kind of determines rounds from that first initial gunfight. We usually saw it towards Art as well, as that AR from Art to Laundry was an important battle off the start of it. It really determines where you are going to route your play. With that bomb carrier, some mid control, it goes a long way as well. And when the defenders were starting to put a little bit of pound for pound fights towards that mid control, getting a little bit sneaky in there and really pushing up to top to Zed, we were seeing more of a battle come out of Crimson Gaming in that sense. So I'm really looking at Raid kind of for E4 Nice to pull this back, really push that aggression onto FSU, because you're correct in that hard point that we just saw is we saw some pinstripe kill feeds quite a bit in those hard points. They were really kind of going pound for pound on those points, really kind of winning their gunfights when it came down to it. And in those scrappy battles, E4 Knights, they were looking solid. It's really when you look at the whole kind of gist of it is where FSU really pulled it back when they were just so good at locking down those spawns. So really look at E4 Knights to put the pressure on FSU right now, get up in their face and just be a nuisance in the gunfights.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably mostly looking at Jumper here. I mean, through 8 maps that have been collected, Jumper has been probably the biggest standout for stats. I mean, they have a 6.33 search and destroy KD ratio. That's through 8 maps that have been recorded on the website. So yeah, you go ahead and do the math at how many gunfights that Jumper has lost so far through split number 1. I'll go ahead and I'll wait because I don't have a calculator in hand. But still, it's really awesome to be able to see what these teams really have to offer. Because again, I always like saying it. I said it last night when we got into Raid Search and Destroy. How do these college kids like to spend their free time, right? Are they do they like their league play? Do they like to play their hardpoint challenges? Or are they search and destroy kids in the back end of the evening? I mean, this is what's always really nice, and how much time that they have spent with their team. And one thing I can say after watching a lot of FSU Garnet is that, again, that blind trust is there. Their search and destroy is quite clinical, but E4 Knights, they're going to have to showcase all of that plus some more magic if they want to come back and tie up the series 1 apiece.
Wait, look at this route right now from FSU. Just totally a free plant on the A side of the map. Dave is in money, but you didn't see Moth drop down, so that's an easy plant for FSU. They're going to set up for their post plants in bedroom, watching their flank, and this is textbook right now from FSU. You have to see this retake from E4 Knights, as now Moth inside Tiki, really pushing up there. He's going to find the first blood on Akusta, and Rawson with that second one. E4 Knights have folded in this round 1 right now. You have to see some heroics now from Jumper and RJ with a pinch from either side. Rawson isn't even going to find that equal. Watching that rotation is going to take down Santi, so now you're up to Jumper. You know where he is. Moth is going to have that first gunfight. FSU breaks open with the first strike.
Yes, I mean, you try to go for the Hail Mary read. You put all your defensive resources into trying to defend what would almost seem like an opening for a raid hardpoint over by Spiral, where that AS or the BS&D site is. Not going to be the case. Gotta always try to keep at least one player looking for the water cross outside of bedroom. As you Garnet, they don't get pushed back with anything at all, literally, until they get the bomb planted and they get the setup that they needed. Top bedroom, T from the open staircase as well. Every single nook and cranny covered. Squeaky clean first round for FSU Garnet. Now can E4 Knights quite literally answer back with what just happened for FSU Garnet, but they have players nearby. Equal's going to be inside the money window. They're going to read this happening.
Well, the difference is that Costa pushing in finds Rose and finding a second one onto Moth as well after that 1-for-1 trade, now leaving E4 Knights in the advantage. The bomb plant comes out as well for E4 Knights, as they're looking for these post plants exactly almost the same as FSU, except you have number 8, Jumper, locking down Zed, watching that mid push. The difference in this one is you're not going to have a pinch from this retake. FSU playing shoulder to shoulder pretty much, pushing from basketball courts. Equal spotting Dave, goes for the shots through the wall, not going to land any. Finally, they know where this comes from. Exile's going to go down. Dave finishing off. E4 Knights answer back with another round of their own.
Yeah, so I mean, the same thing goes on the other foot here for E4 Knights and their offense. When you are taking the A zone, it is, or the A site, excuse me, it is just so important to make sure that your AR in top bedroom lives. Because that's where the plant's for, at the end of the day. It's for bedroom and open staircase. So that way they can always gun that from range in the AR. So great job from that E4 Knights member just to be able to escape with their life. The pinch fire you saw through open staircase was going to be good. And that's why it's just so damn tough to work your way back through basketball courts in a 2v-odd situation. So I agree with you, Seymour. You didn't have that pinch. Would have wished that you had it. But here comes FSU Garnet. They're feeling pretty antsy about that previous round. But this time around, Jumper is here.
Rawson, number 3, outside of Tiki through pool, has been silent so far. Jumper might get the better timing. Oh, kick to the legs, but you're going to spot that tush. You're going to take him down. a trade in the kill feed as it is equal still for this. And the bomb plant has actually not... No, it has been dropped, so they have to find this soon.
You know, Exile's in this bedroom window, too, and Jumper, that's why you see them just so anxiously always checking that. 21 seconds remaining, 2v2 for the retake. RJ is here, is going to eat a couple shots. They can't challenge again.
Last alive now, RJ. Going for the challenge. He's not going to take it. FSU take this lead again, as we've just seen the attackers with the success so far, Proper. You know, they've each been taking these rounds pretty significantly to the B site, and eventually you have to see some pushback over on the B side, and right now just haven't found too many answers from these defenders yet. What do you want to see change up?
Yeah, I mean, it's slow adaptations. I mean, you had Jumper inside Tiki that time around. Now you're probably going to put a sub over by the Rock on the other side of the bomb itself by the A side for E4 Knights in your next defense. Same thing could be said for FSU Garnet, given that E4 Knights also hit A very aggressively in their previous round. But this time around, they're looking for a mid-push. They're actually looking for the BS and D side, or if they find an opening pick here, which Costa does, it could open up a rotation towards either side.
When we saw this yesterday, mid-map control is so good, it provides a route from A or B, but right now, Equal, going for the kitchen control, is going to win out on the first, gets out alive too, has to run for his life as Jumper is chasing. In fact, going to take you down and leaving Exile all alone now, last alive. The attackers once again showing just such good prowess in this fight, taking the right routes and finding it. A big break now. E4 Knights take that, and the jump, I think, came through as you didn't want to see that kill streak progression. Just jump off the map, give the round back, a tie game.
Yeah, that's exactly why you jump off the map there, so that way you don't give up more towards streaks. Because, I mean, if there's one map, as far as retaking a site, is ever more potent inside the map pool, it is definitely Raid for those artillery strikes and those cruise missiles. So, tying up here, offense for offense. A lot of A plants, actually all A plants. Keep in mind, though, it was an immediate mid setup for E4 Knights in the previous offense. FSU Garnet going straight up the driveway. Now, do have Exile inside of the art window, but Exile just guns RJ, and well, now this is going to be a very early B plan.
I think you've spent enough time at B without any pushback. Now it's caught sleeping. Is RJ Dave going to equalize? Now 3-on-3 for this retake. The post plant does look like it's going to be favoring more towards the laundry. And the retake coming from driveway. Big shots from Mont. That 74U just beaming from a distance. Jumper's good for 1, even though he spotted out. Good for 2. What a play from Jumper here. And now a 2v1 equal. Going to be taking this fight against Costa, but dancing around the pillars. Costa's going to take that gunfight, win it out, and finally, the defenders are going to take a round Proper.
What a brilliant retake coming through from E4 Knights. Again, you're just looking to retake the middle of the map, and I mean, it also helps when you have Jumper just winning gunfights. They probably have no business winning, but still, you do find those shots. When you're able to lock down those kills, you have the retake all the more doable. This last little gunfight right here from Costa's perspective is able to get a nice little jump shot, take down Equal. But again, I mean, when you do get in a post-plant situation, it's mostly just about holding angles. You don't have to really search for information. It comes down for the retake, and you had a numbers advantage if you are FSU Garnet. So really going to be scratching your heads there. Going to have to wipe the sweat off your brow and try to answer back with a defense of your own, because E4 Knights really starting to figure out these FSU Garnet players.
I mean, if you're FSU, you're looking to pull back a defending round of your own. Tie it up again. Because if that's so, then you're going to be at the halftime of this search and destroy. Shots to the wall. Costa not going to land any, but some shots back from FSU as well. So they're going to make it known that they have some presence to the middle of the map. RJ very pushed up towards pillars as we're seeing an A hit now. Or a B hit now from the side of E4 Knights. They're going to be dropping this bomb. RJ getting the back of the map. Is he going to find a kill in this gunfight? Scrappy now in laundry. Costa with the backup. A double kill from E4 Knights. They got now 2-player advantage off that first and second blood. Moth very far off this. Going to be working from the middle of the map. Zed as well as pillars for this retake from FSU. Moth with a player on his left. Not going to check it. First rules, you got to check your corners in an FPS game. And Jumper's really going to take advantage of that. Now you're left alone. Rawson can't really do too much of this. A really good crossfire from both sides. They're going to hunt him down. They're going to take this. And E4 Knights with the biggest lead of search and destroy so far.
Big 3 rounds in a row here for E4 Knights, too. Doesn't go unnoticed. Again, they're just going to be really these adaptations, these small mid-round, mid-map adaptations that you're seeing from E4 Knights are, again, just what you really want to see out of any collegiate, professional, amateur team. I don't care. You want to be able to have a good backing for search and destroy. And again, it helps when you have Costa at 7-2, and it helps when you have Jumper at 6-2. Again, lighting things up. XM4, Krig 6, it doesn't really matter. They're doing just a great job, but big trades coming on through. It's actually coming up all E4 Knights yet again.
And a team kill. So unfortunate. Exile left to his lonesome in bedroom. Totally wiped off that. A big read from E4 Knights there, proper. Stacking the A site. Understanding that, you know, you've lost 2 rounds towards the B side of the map now. Probably going to head back to the roots where they've seen the most success over at A. So they do. And just that marksman rifle lineup of E4 Knights just putting them down in their spot.
Yeah, I mean, the retake was good off of B for E4 Knights, so, I mean, you can just continue to stack A because that's where FSU Garnet, through the 2 rounds that they have taken so far, has been able to only find their success. So, now up on map point here for UCF, E4 Knights looking to tie things up 1 apiece. And boy, howdy, are they making their presence felt here. 7-2 for Jumper. We'll be on board with them. Has a trophy system to keep themselves safe from any sort of lethal tactics that might come through, but Costa's going to be here for first blood. That's on the Exile. That could open up the B site wonderfully for E4.
A walking turret here, proper. Costa has not been missing in this search. Look at that fight on a Moth. Did not even stand a chance. Now you do have a retake inbound, but E4 Knights have the proper spread. They take it 6-2. A brilliant answer back from that map 1. That was all FSU on Crossroads. Raid this time, having a new victor out of this series, and a tie in the series is going to give us that Moscow hardpoint definitely now, as we are going to be having a battle between the beasts.
Yeah, and this was almost unsurprising, at least for me, if anybody has gone to look at the stats of previous matches, especially coming through from FSU Garnet on Raid Search and Destroy. Just like I was saying, I mean, earlier, they did beat KSU Gold on the opening hardpoint for Crossroads Strike. They 100-point clubbed them, but when it came down to Raid Search and Destroy, it went to round 11. And against Full Sail Armada, it went to round 10. They won 6-4 there in the end. But I mean, for E4 Knights, they definitely seem to have a very deep understanding for Raid Search and Destroy. It got exemplified there within those closing moments. Again, being able to win 5 rounds in a row, being able to showcase, okay, your offense is doing pretty good over at A. We also were able to win a defense by retaking B. That was the first defensive round, keep in mind you. So let's just go ahead and keep stacking A. They stuff FSU from ever trying to make their way towards another bomb site, and they stay cool, calm, and collective while also finding a handful of kills like the human turret you just saw.
Tied 1 apiece right now after the first 2 maps. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head to a short little break, but go grab some snacks, get some drinks, and hydrate. The CCL will be right back with some Garrison Control. Ladies and gentlemen, what a gauntlet battle we do have in the CCL right now. We're back on the Alpha stream with E4 Knights and FSU Garnet, and after a 250-137 hardpoint favoring FSU Garnet, followed by a 6-2 win by E4 Knights on Raid S&D, this Garrison Control is going to be a fantastic swing match in this setup proper. Let's talk about this. Let's hop right into it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be able to see what UCF, University of Central Florida, the E4 Knights that you have above Seymour's head have been able to offer, especially when it comes down to the SMG presence, because it's something that they were certainly lacking when it came down to the Crossroads Strike hardpoint that we had played earlier, which you see ended in a 250-137 in FSU Garnet's favor. And when we got to the Raid Search and Destroy, and towards the tail end of that Crossroads Strike hardpoint, Jumper started to becoming online. You get this AR player, XM4 in hand. They start lighting things up. It opens up lanes. It finds themselves at least 2-3 kills at a time. It gets a little bit more confidence for the other 3 players with Dave, RJ, and especially Costa. The duo of Costa and Jumper really brought wonderful life to E4 Knights within that second map on Raid Search and Destroy. And for FSU Garnet, they got to be ready for that, but you just got to play your game. You got to play to your strengths, and that's the SMG tandem duo of both Greg Moth and Rosin. They found them a lot of value on that Crossroads Strike hardpoint and being able to get Exile and Equal into power positions to win out gunfights, and that's basically what it comes down to for Garrison Control to basically win an offensive round.
Well, let's look at this right now because these teams are ready. The players are about to hop in. So Garrison Control is where we're going to meet them. So we do have E4 Knights on the attack to start this off. FSU Garnet with a more favorable defender side. So already Rosin opening up with first blood and Moth locking down the fence. The only player to drop right now for FSU is going to be now a 3K, as I was only going to say 1, but E4 Knights came alive in the midst of that gunfight, and they really put it against FSU. Now they're looking to push spawn so that they can get really good B control.
Love to be able to take up a couple ticks of progress here at B, but you're also going to be aware of how are you going to rotate over towards A. And Well, where FSU Garnet going to be coming from? They come from green. There's only one player really watching. It's going to be Dave. Yes, this first tick of progress has to be gained. Second attack of progress is going to be gained with RJ being able to find that isolated 1v1. And now the question comes around for FSU Garnet. Do you just give this up? Do you try to tackle this one last time? Greg Mott's going to be able to find a kill, so that will stop the progress so far.
Well, Moth feeling himself to retake that site. It's gonna push E4 Knights back, and they have to put another set of lives back towards this B site. Can be contested now. Moth still on it. Could be good for one. RJ does go down, but cleaned up by Costa, so this should be the rest of B towards E4 Knights. And now you're looking at it. It's going to open up the possibility to push through these spawns proper. And really, if you're E4 Knights, you want to make sure that you can have some presence towards green while pushing through bricks and uprooting the spawns of FSU.
No player so far for E4 Knights going through top green, but that's okay because you're winning fights inside a brick, for goodness sakes. It's only Exile that's inside the site. Slide challenge is going to actually be traded out. So now presence on the A zone for University, Central Florida. E4 Knights looking to set things up, but Jumper, they got to keep their life. They got to go big here. They got a couple gunfights ahead of them.
Oh, you talked about Jumper. He's disgusting right now after heating up after that crossroads. Really showed his own in search. Let's see what he can do on the A side right now. Gonna hop up, take off this progression. Takes the gunfight to Rawson, has to challenge the other side, but really everybody's staying out alive as they're blocking the line of sights right now from E4 Knights. Really good hold right now from FSU to contest, and even taking down Dave. Jumper still alive now, one-on-one Moth. AK-74U versus XM4. We talked about this XM4, very good for these close gunfights, but neither one of them wants to challenge. It's really just Jumper just swaying back and forth, finally picked up by Equal. And a good chance for FSU to push back on this E4 Knight setup.
Most important part about all of that is that the clock had been stalled out, so we're still at 1:15. 14 lives to the 12 of FSU Garnet. E4 Knights are still in a great spot to try to win on an offensive round. Would you love to be able to have a tick of progress over towards A-Zone? Absolutely. But there's a lot of different win conditions on control, and that might not be the immediate one that E4 Knights are looking for. Could have been the kills, but now we're tied up here, 11 apiece. E4 Knights really starting to feel the punishment now that is working towards the A-Zone here on Garrison. Because FSU Garnet, they just have to set up every single time they find a handful of kills. They work in the middle of the map, keeping E4 Knights at bay.
Ooh, Moth going for green control, only good for one though. Dave's finding him, but now you're pushed through green, and Rawson's set up for that challenge. You know, FSU doing a really good job at not throwing too many lives away at the B site, because the A site relatively a lot easier to hold than that B site is. So now you're seeing the effects of it. Locking down bricks, watching the green push. Rawson absolutely demolishing them. Dave with a nice chow, but the cleanup is there from FSU. You're down to 22 seconds, and you're just barely scraping through this front line of defense. Luckily, you do have a 1 life advantage.
There's a 1 life, but again, there are many, many win conditions here on control, and it's going to come down to time. So E4 Knights, they're just going to try to slide and flood their way inside the A zone. Stalling it so far is going to be Casa, but I mean, they're going to have to go big. They're going to have to find 3 kills in sequence. Good for the first, but will be soon traded on out, and that was when the clock had been expiring, so it will be FSU Garnet. They're able to win the opening round here. It is a defensive round, keep in mind you, but boy, did it get scary there. E4 Knights got that B zone, and then you had Jumper almost finessing on that A zone.
He spent so much time there. It's just the rest of E4 Knights were not providing any backup. And in that last setup, you saw, I mean, you said it yourself, I mean, so many win conditions, and it came down to the time. So it really forced the hand of E4 Knights just to touch into that B site, just to stop the clock. And FSU were able to surround them. They had enough time to take their gunfights they wanted to. And you saw almost 4, at the same time, you almost saw all 4 players of E4 Knights drop. And it's a good round for FSU on that defense. Now on this attack. Does look like they're going for green control early, which I loved. FSU, if they can control green, they basically have a good overview of the A site. I'd love this setup right now from FSU.
It is pretty good, but you got to be able to win the gunfights there, and RJ is just locking things down. Dave pushes across the plat towards Caution. He's going to be able to find themselves a very long-range gunfight. On no Qual, it's 2 now, 10-9 for them. 9 OBJ score as well, a pretty good spot, but Exile top Caution is going to be able to find the trade onto Dave. 45 seconds now remaining. Garnet trying to reel for an offense here, but you got a rat of Casa inside the fence. It's going to stop you ever more so. Again, trades are good for the defensive team when you're trying to look for a single zone, and FSU Garnet, they're just struggling to get themselves to get any sort of map control.
And it's a very big struggle. Is you look at E4 Knights, they had such an easy push on this B side. They really walked into the spawns of FSU with dominance, and it wasn't until the B site or the A site was the last one standing that you really saw FSU come alive. Now struggling on this attack, but gaining good progression at the B, where Moth holding on the outside with Exile and Rawson pushing these spawns of E4 Knights. And 2 ticks of progression are out here. They're on their way to 3, and E4 Knights might be looking to give this up.
Might just be wise to. You don't want to be giving away any more lives. That is one win condition that you do not want FSU Garnet to feel more comfortable in. Look at it right now, 23-19, E4 Knights. They need a strong defensive setup here. You got players over by the attack stat, and you got players trying to watch the exit from spawn, but Exile's going to be good for 1. They are doubled up over here, keep in mind, so now they're going to read the spawns, while the other players for FSU Garnet, they hit it out from breaking through.
Oh, Equal with 2, opening up the A site. Now progression to FSU, and off spawn, you have to see E4 Knights run to the hills just to contest this point and stop the clock. Moth gonna be watching this first line of defense. Rawson slaying out from afar. Exile with the overwatch. 2 ticks now for FSU. This attack's looking phenomenal right now from Florida State as they're on their way to 3. Rawson's pushing out bricks. Everybody's off spawn, and FSU find the attack round.
Yeah, it was just a brilliant take for that A zone. It took a while for the B zone to finally come through, and again, that's one of the many struggles that is Garrison Control. If you don't win the initial break-off, hell, when you don't win the second or the third, that's exactly what FSU Garnet were just looking at. They finally come through, they win a break-off, they're able to get themselves that B zone, but it was the take for the A zone, Seymour, that was just so beautiful. They had players working through the main doors past the loading shipment square. They had a player working through Cobble and a player working top green just to really pinch the spawns to set them down over by the tin tent. And they were able to walk away with an offensive round. Now a chance to close it out in 3 to go up 2-1 in this series.
Oh, it's going to be contesting, putting some fight onto the B side this time. You're looking through the bottom of the tank. Rawson makes it into the backline, even winning out on Costa for the jump up. It's really going to push back this E4 Knights attack back to the spawn. You're looking, though, at number 4, who's all the way close into B. That's RJ Santee, gaining some progression for the side of E4 Knights. Should be challenged here after that nade, but beaming Equal with the nukes of that 74U. The backup from the trophy system. The team is here. The reinforcements are settling for E4 Knights. They're going to have 2 ticks of progression before Moth contested. There's a possible double kill here and even interrupts that second tick of progression. So really good retake from FSU as Moth is heating up.
I mean, Moth is heating up. The SMG duo of FSU Garnet is just really electric. 17-11 for Rawson, 16-13 now for Greg Moth. Yes, Exile's at 14-9, but it's holding those long lanes that just allows these SMGs to really just run rampant. But E4 Knights, they're able to find themselves a couple kills. That is footing to get themselves on this B zone. Santee will be here, but they never read that a player is coming up from the fence, and that's going to be a pinch. Rawson's going to be good to stop, to send the clock back down.
You would hope Jumper would have saw that. Does come out with the kill, but not before you take the player off the point as Equal looking to decap some of this B site. Actually going to give it up a little bit, expecting some fight. So Equal doing the right thing, playing their life, and ultimately hoping that they can retake together while this third tick is coming out. Now Equal is going to slide in, have the rest of the team pick up. Rawson going to slay out on Dave, and now Equal pushing even farther with Rawson and Exile occupying the spawns of E4 Knight. Exile finally gets cleaned up, but now you have to worry about Rawson. Nice trigger discipline. Not going to take that kill until he can determine it's his, and even pushing the spawn's going to beam out Jumper to try to find even more. Costa's up next. He's going to go down. You're on a 5 spray if you're Rawson, and you're really just being a nuisance in this backline. Down to 3 seconds. FSU are going to take a 3-0 on the control and go up in the series.
Oh, golly me, that was gross. Need to, like, rinse my eyes out after watching that. It was a disgusting 5 spree there from Rawson at the end. And again, walking into this from the 12 maps that we have on our website, Seymour, I mean, Rawson was walking in at a 2.30 KD. That's exactly why. They're just about double positive at the end there, as you see the best play happening on your screen right now. There's that trigger discipline that you were highlighting so wonderfully. But again, it was just all of that ability to be able to find yourself 1 or 2 kills. That's why I always talk about Garrison. Hardpoint, search and destroy, and control. It is an SMG's playground. You have the vents, you have the nooks and crannies, you have all the tanks, you have all these little hidey holes to be a little rat to hide between to really make the AR struggle from the enemy team. And that's what just ended up happening. Like you were talking about, you were really hoping that Jumper was going to be able to watch all these different corners and crosses, but I mean, your head can only swivel so much, your sticks can only turn in a direction so fast. So, I mean, the SMGs just flying on through, both Rawson and Greg Moth included, were really able to keep E4 Knights on their back foot, and they just really just couldn't reel themselves defense or offense alike.
And even seeing Exile just sneak right on past even myself, get into that back line and give the opportunity for Rawson to push the other side unnoticed and get right in there for that 5-piece, really putting it to the side of E4 Knights. I mean, you look across this whole series proper, you look at map number 1 where it's been more AR dominant on that Crossroads. Moth didn't have the best kind of map over on Crossroads. You really had those ARs just sticking it to them, just holding down those spawns, holding down point, especially from 3 to 4 over on Crossroads. So I mean, you're looking at Moth finally coming alive on that control, really doing it when you need to. You had that 3 SMG setup, just raining terror on Garrison between Exile, between Rawson, and between Moth. And really, you look at FSU now taking alive in a really good hardpoint team. You have to be a little bit worried in E4 Knights going into this Moscow map.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Because, I mean, if there's one thing that we've seen throughout the entirety of this best of 5 series between these two schools in Florida, Seymour, is that the respawn is pretty darn strong for one team, and that's FSU Garnet. The Search and Destroy, pretty darn stellar for the other, and that's E4 Knights. But you got to take a respawn here for E4 Knights to send it to that Miami Search and Destroy. And as far as the documented matches that we have on the website, E4 Knights, they have not played this map mode combo, not quite yet. The one time that FSU Garnet have, they beat KSU 250-78. So let that settle in one time to what you're going to be able to see working in tandem of one another. Those SMGs, the AR, they all have to be there. And I'm not just talking about your break attempts that we did not see from E4 Knights on that Crossroads Strike hardpoint, but your setups have to be strong because you have to be able to find those definitive rotations from 2 to 3 very early on so that way you can get that setup inside of library, read the push that's about to be coming through from bank, and the same could be said when you go over towards the boulevard. That's probably where they're going to be able to find themselves a lot of time unless they can get inside P2 early. If you can get Jumper in square or in that police station, they can probably beam and do some pretty good things.
E4 Knights looking to push this series proper to a game number 5, Miami, where we'll see these plays kind of finish this game off. But, you know, that's the future. Let's talk about the present right now as these players are ready to hop into Moscow hardpoint. E4 Knights fighting for their life right now, making sure, hoping that they can stay flawless in the CCL. FSU 1 map away from keeping their flawless record to 5-0 and knocking down the E4 Knights. We're hopping right into it. Point 1 is going to be a bloodbath, so let's see who comes out on top.
Starting off on the favorite side, RFSU Garnet, so E4 Knights, they want to break in through P1. Gonna already send RJ up through Escalade to try to create a unique pinch, but the opening gunfights inside checkers are not going your way. So now E4 Knights, they gotta wait for the response before they can try to hit through P1. Nice shot from Dave to smoke Moth off to the cutout wall.
The smoke is quite the word to use for there. It's absolute shooting rockets out of his 74U. The AR of Equal, though, gonna clean him up from afar. The pinch, the flank, the swarm comes in for FSU. They're going to get the majority time. They're going to get some extra time now on point 1, looking to hold on to point 2 spawns, as they did have the favorable spawns here. And a really good setup cleaned up by Santi, and Jumper going to allow for this retake of E4 Knights to disrupt the point 1 and make sure that they can hold a tiny little advantage pushing into P2.
Yeah, and again, that small lead that you see E4 Knights have, that's about to be blown wide open unless they can break inside P2. But look at the setup that you have. 2 players towards green lobby, and you also have Exile in top police. And this is an AR's feasting grounds. Rosin with the 74U is finessing down low. Exile is going to drop to be able to find a third. One last player, able to count your numbers there. It's RJ. They will be gunned down. So a nice pushback from FSU Garnet so far. We've got 35 seconds remaining before we really have to look at the rotation towards 3. If not, 10 seconds before E4 Knights really got to keep it in the back of their face.
And Moth with an XM4 now, proper to the map of Moscow. You know, less of an SMG map, more of an AR kind of sanctuary here, especially like you were saying, that playground of point number 2. They're getting so much time. They've blown away the lead. The small lead that E4 Knights had now looking to take the siege to the 3rd point. Now this Fountain, another money hill that E4 Knights are starting off with the initial time on. They can pull this back here, but you're really looking at this break from FSU, which has been so successful in past hard points. Can E4 Knights sustain it?
Well, they're winning the open gunfights. I mean, one that happened off screen was Dave was able to find a big kill. That was on the Exile down inside bank, but Rosin, sneaky beaver, was able to work their way inside of the back. Not enough to upset the spawns, but it pushes them back for the time being. Jumper would really like to find this kill. They're able to do so. So initial setup, good. 20 seconds have passed here inside of P3. And this is where I was proposing the idea the E4 Knights were able to get the majority of time. And here's the setup. Costa line him up. I'll knock him down. Has one more to the side. Not going to be able to get the better of that, but the hit from the front is going to be good for FSU Garnet to break inside.
FSU just doing it all right now. Costa did his best, but now Exile's on here, reign in terror. The crib going to be cleaned up now as the retake comes in with those the spawns for point 3. And now you're looking at these spawns to transfer over to point number 4. You're really looking at them to push it to FSU and kind of swap this lead in this new hardpoint. You got to keep your eyes on Moth with a big one-on-one off screen. He's going to lose at the jumper, so it's going to provide E4 with the initial time as well as the favorable spawns right away.
Again, the E4 Knights right back in after not being able to break inside 2. Look at the rotation from 3 to 4. Yes, it was contested for 15 seconds, but again, the AR lineup has been all the more potent for E4 Knights, especially by Jumper, who's now on a 6 spree.
Wow.
In through the doggy door, through the office, just trying to finesse. They're twisted right now, Seymour. They can smell the blood in the water. They know that the hit's coming through from Globe, and that's exactly where they're going to be able to feast. There's number 7, able to stay alive. We're playing for streaks. We already got the artillery strike online.
Let's see if Jumper can get even more. He's going to lock down the cruise missile. So he's going to have even more. This is amazing because you saw Jumper heat up at the end of that crossroads. You saw him take rain on Raid Search and Destroy. Now you're here to play. You're here for the bloodbath of Moscow, the Motherlands, to fight it out. Dave pushing even farther to Statue. Going to take the long fight to equal with that XM4. You're going to lose out on that all day, every day. Now on this rotation, you remember E4 Knights had the small little advantage after point 1 proper. They're looking really good on this Moscow right now, where I thought FSU would take it by a landslide.
But again, those rotations from 3 to 4, it's not a long one, but that's where the ARs can start absolutely frying, and that's what happened for E4 Knights in that first set of hills. Jumpers at 11 and 6. You also have Casa Alpha moves out as the Flex player at 10 and 10. RJ is only at 2 and 8, may have themselves an IC in hand and have their legs cut up, but I mean, at the end of it all, E4 Knights, they're dragging him through that first set of hills. And FSU Garnet, they really don't have a direct answer. But from 1 into 2, it's their strongest set so far. Off screen, there's a fight for the police station as well. Jumper's laying prone. Jumper with the 74U is going to be able to get equal. That's going to block the spawns for the time being. So a little north to south spawn is about to be happening, which is why you see FSU Garnet spawning by Globe. And then you also have E4 Knights spawning closer towards P2. E4 Knights, though, they're looking for the initial setup inside P2. This could blow this game wide open, and E4 Knights can really get a good lead.
Jumper with some unfortunate time to the player Exile, rotating around buses. And now this is huge. This is a big gunfight. Jumper with the favorable position, too. I don't think Exile's going to read this. Sneaky in the back of the map. Exile spots him out underneath the cars. Exile somehow taking him as he bites away and nips at those feet. Gonna uproot these spawns. Gonna provide FSU with the favor now for point 2. And this is a good chance for FSU to kind of break back into this game. You said they had a hell of a run on this point number 2, and so they did. Let's see if they can do it again. Rawson with a nade kill. Exile with the follow-up. Rawson on point, just locking it down with this SMG, allowing your ARs to spawn around you, but you didn't expect to flank through screens, and that's going to take them off the point for a little bit longer. Only 24 seconds left here proper. You're thinking about point 3 if you're E4 Knights, and this is where you can shine because your P3 to P4 was phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. And although it was little shades of Crossroad Strike Hardpoint that FSU Garnet were able to break E4 Knights within the opening 10 seconds of the P2. Again, you said it so wonderfully, Seymour. This setup from 3 to 4 in the first set of hills, this is where E4 Knights really built their lead. This is really where they really found their strides. Now a big trade for Casa, who is trying to lurk inside of the gold area, is going to be taken down. So that means for E4 Knights, you know that the hit's going to be coming from the bank side. You got to be aware of this, and you can't lose the opening gunfights, but that's a big kill for FSU to work their way inside of P4.
Jumper takes the first one. Going to be traded out now. The break coming from FSU, doing a hell of a lot of damage. Exile in the back of the spawn as well. Going to win out on Costa. That spawns to FSU. And now that is terrifying if you're E4 Knights. Luckily, you're still breaking through Eskies. You're taking the front side of the point, which is also a really stellar setup for this Fountain Hardpoint if you can get that backup from your ARs afar. But SMGs come in fold. The XF4s knock down your team. And FSU with a phenomenal break.
It was a phenomenal break, but also a heads-up play from FSU Garnet that just have one player that was just laying low over by the bank to try to have those spawns continuously split. So that way it was north to south from the top of escalators all the way down by the boulevard. Moth is a beaming true. XM4, 15 and 12, almost being able to find number 5 in a spree, will now be cut down. But here's the rotation over towards New. 5 seconds between these two teams, E4 Knights in the lead. But with a little bit of a stronger setup and the rusted bus in their favor, FSU Garnet look to take that back. But inside of the actual gold area itself, it is all E4 Knights.
And they knocked down FSU as they were lining up there and spawn them out as well from point 1 and point 2 now. And maybe in the long run, this might favor FSU, but let's see if they can put a foot on this point and contest it. Casa with the first. Really good initial to this return. The Shrieks are gonna come out from Jumper. He's gonna drop him down, but what you didn't realize is the rest of FSU was slaying through, and they're gonna clean you up. Now Jumper Shrieks coming into fruition, gonna be good for one. Allows E4 Nice to hold on to this point a little bit longer, but the absolute gun from afar. Exile with this Krieg doing the damage, keeping him off at 6 seconds left. So you're looking at this reset. You're looking at point one now. Moth, for the first time, FSU gonna have the initial time on point one.
You're feeling okay if you are FSU Garnet, because you were able to keep it contested and you got the artillery strikeout. So now you're looking towards P1 into 2. You win the initial gunfight, you're here first. Plus looking for the big money time of P2. It's only going to be that much more influential because you have a qual trying to block the spawns. Rosin finds 2, but still in control of P1. E4 Knights, you got to contest it, and you got to try to hit through it as well to break inside P2. One of which has to be successful. With Gregmoth finding these shots, I don't know if at least one is going to come through.
Well, no lead change just yet. That nade's gonna clean up Moth and give some time to E4 Nice now. But yeah, you're looking at point number 2. Now Rawson in the point. Jumper's gonna clean him, good. And E4 Nice holding strong right now on point number 1. Gonna have a lead in point 2, but I mean, we said it for that first set of rotations. Point 1 was really good. Point 2 was good the first time around for FSU. Point 2 the second time around, a little bit shaky as E4 Nice had a really good start to it. And look at this. Already, they've broken through the spawns. E4 Knights are a really good chance to just knock this out of the park.
Really good chance. I mean, they're finally going to be able to at least get past the opening 15 seconds here. And, well, that's the first time that we've actually said that. Both hardpoints so far. And it's going to be able to garner a very strong set of pops close towards green. It's going to be able to find themselves another kill. That's number 6. Is trying to play for Shrieks. The grenade, the Semtex is going to get them out, so no artillery strike. And this is just so damaging because now you're looking for the rotation over towards B3. FSU Garnet, they're trying to break inside B2, but be careful with how far forward you try to push. You just want to keep it contested, and you want to try to get at least 40 off of B3 while keeping E4 Knights at bay.
Proper. This is going through screens. I don't like this play right now from FSU. Putting a player number 3, Exile, here to the test. He's going to find that kill. Now let's see where the spawns come out for the side of the skate. They're still going to be holding on to 2 because you do have the majority of your players back towards point number 3, holding that line of scrimmage to the middle of the map. Rawson, a 1-on-1 maybe, as a Jumper actually is going to take the long way around, go through point 4, but E4 Knights for the first time in this going to try to break through this point number 3. Rawson, the first line of fight is good for 1, good for 2. Santi's going to be the last one before Dave cleans him up. Now Dave pushing even farther forward is going to take the second player, Moth, out. And they're going to be looking for the spawns now. E4 Knights going the long way around with the majority in this. Casa uproots the spawns. E4 Knights, really good break here. They just have to clean up Exile.
You had to keep your head on a more greased up swivel there, FSU Garnet. The second that you had Rosin spawn over by the AS&D site, you had to be aware where the spawns were coming through for E4 Knights. It comes through bank. 20 seconds remaining inside the hill. You cannot close it out if you're E4 Knights here. So another hill will come into play, but the question is, will we get a second as well? Because FSU Garnet, they can't close it out on the upcoming hill, but they might just be able to do it at 1. But E4 Knights, with soaking up the last bit of this hill time, it just doesn't really matter for a clean break here, Seymour. They just need at least a half a good clean kill feed to get a player on this hill, but it is coming up all Rosin. 27 and 27, another force spree, just cleaning up the exits from the previous hill.
Well, you can technically win off of this if you're FSU. You just have to absolute slay out of your minds. And so you are doing right now. You do have some streaks kind of aligning right now, but Rawson is going to go down to Costa, gives the contestation, so you're going to guarantee not a victory off this point for FSU. And even the rest of your team knocking down. Mod's going to go down, get time, 6 seconds left. E4 Knights, they can do it right here off of this time, and nobody's going to be there to touch, so we're going to be seeing a map number 5 here proper.
And we're going to go to a map 5 for sure. And again, just within the tail end of that second set of hill, towards the bitter end of that, of this hardpoint, man, E4 Knights, they turned up and they just let loose. Jumper was one of those players that was just going on continuous freeze. And although I wanted to nitpick here, big misusage of those streaks there, buddy. The second that the cruise missile was online, just went ahead and popped open that briefcase, and the artillery strike was really thrown to very poor use, although only finding 1 kill and keeping P4 contested. Could have used it to try to break inside a hill to try to close it out earlier. But again, just me being nitpicky here, just got to be able to use and find value for those streaks there. But still, at the end of it, was able to fry because the gunnies were hot, they were warm, they were feeling the mojo coming off of that raid search and destroy. And felt the workings getting slapped down off of that garrison control 3-0. But I said it, They got to win a hard point. They got to win a respawn off of this very hot FSU Garnet team to really decide who's going to be the best team within this region. And hell, why not the entire conference? Looking at for all the teams that are in here, both for A and the B division, might just be it might just be one of these two teams that you're looking as your conference leader by the end of the split.
And you talk about we're looking at FSU at the end there. I mean, they had the initial time and a really good setup for that point number 4, but I mean, they really tried to harness their inner Atlanta phase, where you just absolutely slay out through the middle of the map with your SMGs and provide just the perfect cover for your ARs in that bus. But you couldn't make that comeback. The break came through from the split push of Globe. And I have to say, E4 Knights in that hard point really surprised me. I mean, Jumper, the one player to really highlight with that XM4, just standing on his head, like you say, on a swivel too, just absolutely beaming as a turret for the E4 Knights to send to this game 5. Now, it's a little bit different here as we're looking into this game 5 Miami, because neither team really is recorded on Miami. So this is definitely a toss-up for who's going to take it.
Yeah, and again, AR playground, baby. No snipers, no smokes, out of the window. So unless you're really relying on your SMGs to try to make way through top purple offensively to break inside that BS and D site, you're probably going to see triple ARs coming on through. One Krig, maybe 2 XM4s, one submachine gun for these players. Maybe they might just run subs and just try to meet each other and have a little bit of a I guess, a Southern Florida standoff. And actually, how fitting is that, by the way, that we're ending here in Miami in between two Florida schools? That just clicked inside my head. Sorry, I don't know. My camera doesn't go that high, but a light bulb definitely just appeared above my green screen. But still,
meant to be.
I think it's just one of these things that when you're looking at ARs finding value, you can't look further than what E4 Knights have had to offer so far. I mean, Costa, the flex of the XM4, we saw it on the raid search and destroy, was beaming. And the same thing could have been said there at the end on the Moscow hardpoint to join the likes of Jumper. There's something that this team is doing absolutely right, and it's the ARs being able to cover so much ground while also winning those up-close gunfights. The SMGs of FSU Garnet now on the back foot, not setting the pace anymore. They're trying to match it.
Now, I have to say, you say AR Playground. I have to counter as you look at the B side as the SMG setups from FSU, probably looking to take more towards that B side garage. And if they can break that, it might be a harder retake for E4 Knights if you're stacking your ARs towards the A side. I mean, you have a really good opportunity to set up a post plant position towards docks and even take control of Piano to provide that overview of the whole site. So FSU, I mean, you really have to look towards those SMGs, like you're saying, to break open this Miami S&D, and we're going to be hopping right into these ones. I mean, you say it's the showdown of these Florida schools. Well, I want to see them kind of throw down on this Vice City map.
Yeah, and it's going to be awesome to be able to see what the strategies are going to end up being. Are you putting a player towards the middle of the map? Are you triple stacking over towards B? Are you leaving a solo defender over by the visitors building? Because even through the previous weekend that we just had with the CDL, a lot of Miami was played, and a lot of other strategies have been unleashed upon the ever tri-epsilon that we have from pro all the way down here at collegiate as well, and even for those S&D wager kids that like to play Search and Destroy every single night. A lot has been learned, but we're going to have to see if any of that gets played. So far, not so much. It's E4 Knights on offense first. They're looking for that B-rush.
And Dave immediately dropped with the trade from Costa, so First Blood going to go back and forth, evening it out. Jumper going to be recouping with his player of Costa to kind of grab that bomb, hopefully, and get out. But bomb in a really tough position if you're E4 Knights. And I don't know if FSU even knows this. Equal going to be backed up in the stands, hoping to get that kill. Nade's not going to land on him. I don't know if you're ready for Costa watching this either. The crossfire is good. Equal is going to drop and give it a little bit more of a stance towards this B site. But you have to watch this flank now. Rawson in the back of the line. He's going to be finding it. Good timing onto both of them as he knocks him down and leaves Jumper alone in a 1v2.
Man, Jumper's got a Krig too. Not exactly the weapon that you want for a 1v2, but definitely get it done. But the clock, the immediate consideration, the bomb dropped in a precarious position. Jumper, gonna listen to some late night vibes and work their way through piano or through laundry, excuse me. Since the site is open, but time is just so far gone. You don't have enough time to be able to find these kills, plus the bomb plant. They're just going to go ahead and try to recover it. Anybody up here in top purple? Anybody trying to close out their tabs in the bar? Nope, not absolutely not. Big play from Rosin to close out that final moment on that opening round for Miami Search and Destroy to make that FSU Garnet's round.
I don't even know how Rawson didn't get spotted from Jumper, who was sitting in the middle of the map. He probably had to just be right COD timing on his side.
Yeah, had to
And to get into the backline to do exactly that, they could not have been any more unaware of it. And really, it's because Jumper just missed that timing. So unfortunate for the side of E4 Knights, but very fortunate if you're FSU, and that especially in that initial gunfight, dropping the bombs so early. Rawson 3-0 right here, back on the offense. Let's see what they could do.
Gonna be another B hit. 3 players are here defensively for E4 Knights, so they should be prepared for this. And they are.
Exactly that. One right now. Rawson keeping his streak going. Recovers the bomb and gets back off those stairs now. Advantage is to FSU, but only by 1 player. You're looking at this rotation. Watching number 3 Jumper over at the A side. He's going to lock down that turret of the Krieg. Going to take down Rawson and the Shriek and even drop the bomb now. Really big push now. Costa going to be watching the alley. Equal goes down, leaving Exile alone. FSU had the right opportunity there, but just unaware that Costa would be checking that alley. And Costa's going to push all the way through B, clean it up, and E4 Knights are going to have a tie game now.
Tied up 1 apiece here. Remember, this is how it all started back on that raid search and destroy Seymour. We went round for round, and then E4 Knights were like, haha, I see how you're trying to play. You've activated my trap card. And then immediately just flipped the game on its head and won 4 rounds in a row. 5 rounds in a row, excuse me. Let's see if that's going to have to follow suit here. It'd be a scary place to be, but I don't want to speak too many things into existence first. Haven't even had dinner, but still. E4 Knights. Going to have to be an offensive round there. B push, got stuffed. Dave is starting to work their way over towards the A site, and this is what's scary about Miami Search and Destroy. Kind of Arcloth Peak-esque from the Modern Warfare season, Seymour, is that once you're committed towards the site, it's going to take a while to rotate on over. Just about 25, if not 30 seconds to move from one side to the other, and that's with clearing every single corner.
I like this push from E4 favoring the A side. I mean, your ARs have been on point, so why not take a hit at this A side of the map? You get that post plant. ARs can watch from afar. There's so many power angles, so many openings for them to take advantage of. Jumper lurking all the way through at Hotel, so he will have a split watching the middle of the map cross. That Exile might take, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to find the pick onto Exile, allow for that bomb to push even farther through, and now Santi in the back of Visitor Center. Costa going to provide him even more opening for this route, unaware of the player above him, but in Visitor Center he goes, and very big play indeed. Equal is going to be watching it. Gets a pick for FSU. Brings it back a little bit farther. Plant is down. E4 Knights setting up for this retake. They're watching every angle that you can, and brilliant stance, brilliant positioning from Costa to find that kill, leaving Equal alive to do this now 1v2. Equal is going to be stun checked. Dave, I mean, all you have to do is run away and allow Jumper to watch over this bomb.
Equal also got tagged a bit too. Dave now on the balcony of the visitors building. This is just too far gone for Equal. Like you already said, I mean, you just gotta play tag with him, throw bows, eat a couple shots in the back of the legs as well. Why not? E4 Knights stringing together a couple of rounds here. Nice offensive take, like Seymour was already saying. But you do find that opening pick. Makes moving your way towards the ASND site all the more easier. Remember, no smokes, but you got yourself a couple bullets that you could use on towards that AR player inside a top visitors building. That's exactly what happens. E4 Knights then slowly move their way over towards the ASND site. Costa at 6-2 makes things a little bit easier for the charge.
I have to say, you know, it's the difference in the meta right now. Seeing the XM4s in gives a little bit more of an oomph for that attack. You know, you don't have to really worry about the mid-range gunfights that do come out on a map like Miami. And you're still even to hold your own at the long range too. So I think that's why we've been seeing a lot more Miami, is because the XM4 is a lot more prominent here, and it provides that attacking prowess for these teams. Now B hit from FSU. Rawson gonna open it up with first blood. Santi tries to answer back, but Ross is just too hot right now. 6-2. They have the bomb site control. Should get this plant down. You gotta look for these two players, Costa and Jumper, who's been standing on their head to retake.
Big kill there for Costa, making this all the more doable in this 2v3. Gotta retake the B site. Teammate and Jumper is slowly working their way through the river walk. Gonna be an isolated engagement. Costa also finds another one that's onto the FSU Garnet. And Jumper also finds one from the back. Now Greg Moth has to stay alive. They're actually over by the hop-up wall. Well, this is not exactly the place you want to be for a 1v2.
He's got to play right behind him properly. He's going to get this first kill, but he's not going to expect Costa to be behind him. He's going to drop in. What a play from E4 Knights. I mean, Jumper and Costa have had such a good series now. Going to take a 2-round advantage in this S&D of a 2-against-4 retake. Absolute insane plays from E4 Knights.
I mean, look, man. Again, it's what I ended up talking about at the end of the Raid Search and Destroy. These two individuals of Jumper and Costa are just leaning on each other. They're one brain, one hive mind between the two of them almost, the way that pinch worked. Now, it definitely helps being able to find isolated gunfights, being able to throw bullets in towards your enemy's backs, makes that retake all the more easier. But, I mean, the confidence and the blind trust to be able to do so is definitely making E4 Knights' Search and Destroy all the more better. I mean, look at the collection for FSU Garnet just from top to bottom. Rosin has more kills than the rest of his teammates all combined, and they get first blooded.
Wow, Rosin going down is huge for E4 Knights. Now you have to expect that this hit from the B side is just going to burst through as soon as they're set up. You have Santi right to the right of Moth. He's watching this pick as well, but absolute flank not setting up either from Exile. They're going to be looking to hold the front line, making the wrong call there. Moth going to push out of Piano, take his death in suit from Jumper. And Exile only good for one before he goes down. Plant's going to be on the B side. Equal has to make the absolute heroics here to retake this in a 1-on-3.
35 seconds. Gonna try to read the situation. That's Craig 6 again, a weapon that you would love to have to be able to beam that player from the top purple area, but easier said than done. Just whittling them down here, Seymour. I'm not gonna lie, they're not big punches, but they are just small jabs to the most vital points of your nervous system, and that's how E4 Knights are playing the Search and Destroy. Just so methodical, so surgical, and it's just so scary to watch it dissect, because FSU Garnet, it's every single time they're walking inside this area, they have the confidence, yes, but E4 Knights, I mean, they just came off of Moscow from that library and that P3 hold, man. They checked them out. They got the book.
Now you're taking your shot at the A site if you're FSU. You haven't done this yet, and honestly, probably better suited for E4 Knights on their attack because they're more of an AR team. Dave, really aggressive, taking a gamble and taking that fight to Exile. First blood, once again, to E4 Knights. Should stall this attack even longer. You have Jumper. The defense at A really pushed up far. I mean, you wouldn't expect an AR to be this far up. Rawson equalizes off the screen. It's a chance now for FSU to just kind of bide their time, take these gunfights one by one. With Rawson watching over the middle of the map, doesn't spot RJ on that cross. And now all three players of E4 Knights have rotated the A site, and I don't know if FSU are going to exactly be ready for this.
But no player is watching the immediate exit. So you got Costa just kind of jostling with the idea of maybe going back to check over towards B, but we're down to 25 seconds, and now you got to make this switch after Jumper will now reveal themselves, but Greg Moth absolutely smokes them around the corner, so now the opportunity for FSU Garnet to work this site is all the more doable. Greg Moth! My goodness, sir. What a snap. 12 seconds remaining, but the bomb's going to be planted, setting it back up to 42.
Now Costa rotating from B. Has to retake exactly what Equal was in last time. A 1-on-3. XM4 in hand instead of the Krieg. Rawson's going to take the gunfight, take him down, and FSU with chance at the comeback. They find their second. Only down by 2 now. That's what you needed. You needed a player for FSU to really show up here. Greg Moth was that player. You thought you were going to go for the plant there. Fakes the plant. Expects the challenge. RJ gets beamed off of it. And FSU take it with a very dominant round.
Yeah, and again, when you're watching that breakdown, that play happened at about 28 seconds. Remember that even after being first blooded for Exile, E4 Knights, they had FSU Garnet trapped. But because FSU Garnet, they weren't making a move, they throw all their lethal tacticals out. E4 Knights, they send a couple players. Costa try to go rotate back over towards B. You just can't really throw into the equation of a player of Mott's caliber to be able to find those 2 kills. Those are 2 kills that are not easily won because they were FSU Garnet. They stopped the bleeding, making this a 2-round affair. But at E4 Knights, they were looking to get aggressive here yet again like they did on their previous round on defense. But it's the B site that is in the sight line.
E4 Knights looking to hunt for these players on B. They found first blood so many rounds in a row. RJ not going to spot Rawson on that head glitch. And first blood drops the bomb in garage. And an unfortunate position if you're E4 Knights. Now FSU, if you can get the sights, if you can spot that bomb and understand that you have to get this take, it'll be a big round. And Exile on this flank just puts that nail even farther into the chest of the E4 Knights. This is a really good chance to bring it back by 1. Exile just playing his life, just providing a little bit of pressure onto that back line. Should force the hand on the front line, and Moth ready for it. FSU, a flawless round to take their third.
Big rounds here from FSU Garnet. Be able to adapt and just really slow things up and just play so smart. I mean, whether you're playing for trades, whether you're playing for crossfire, you're playing for pinches, these are all things you want to be able to showcase in your search and destroy to make sure that you are a championship caliber team come the end of the season, and hell, even towards the end of this stage 1. And such a big matchup too. Remember, both these teams walking in here were 4-0 for map or for series win losses. They have not dropped a single map. They've only made it through 3 maps so far. So this is probably the biggest test through the matches that they have played all regular season long. They're really getting put through the ringer, making this a 1-round affair though. Here comes the offense for FSU Garnet. Again, toying with this A push. They were successful in it last time, even while being first blooded, but Jumper this time around, not playing the aggressive angle, is up on top. Visitors gets the information.
What eyes do Jumper have? Because I want those. I mean, spotting probably the elbow of that player of FSU just to put some shots in it to stall this push even longer. And the fact that FSU found an attacking round last time towards the A site, going to be taking another hit on this. RJ now has rotated over to Visitor Center, and with a subtly kind of passive push to the A site, it's allowing FSU to hit this rotation back to B, and now you've pulled 3 players back to the A site. It's going to have a really good opportunity. Fortunately, you only have 3 seconds, so you have to start running.
This is going to come down to Costa. Costa's going to have to play a big role into shutting this down, but Dave will get taken on down by Equal. That's all the information that Costa needs. There's about to be a rotation coming on through. But they ended up trying to go for at least the trade, so now the B site's completely wide open. So now you're going to be able to drop the bomb. Big trade coming on through. Now a 2v3 for a retake bomb being planted here by Moth, so 45 seconds. The clock has been rebooted.
That was the biggest bait to take Costa out there. I mean, Dave going down there was everything for FSU's plant. And allowing Costa even to drop just gives you even more space to set up your post plants. Retake's going to be going. Ronson takes out Jumper. RJ's the last one standing. What can he do? What kind of damage can he do? Nothing, as FSU tie this up proper with a phenomenal attacking round once again.
And again, remember, that kill that did end up coming through for the first blood with 25 seconds remaining was so close to the party boat. The E4 Knights, again, they had no idea that the rotation was coming on through. They thought the commitment towards A was about to be true. So Casa had given up their post over by the B site. FSU Garnet were able to work their way in there, and then Moth had a very nice setup. And just look at the streaks through multiple rounds. Rosin 11-4, 5 spree for them, 3 spree both for Exile and Moth. 5-5, 4-5, just firing it off on all cylinders, being able to bounce on back against what E4 Knights in the pressure they've been able to showcase, making this 3 rounds in a row, tying it up for a piece.
Right on his head right now. Taking the first blood, Dave gets that. You saw the slide from Rawson, but just a bait into your other SMG, and now FSU with a good start to this round should have a big chance to take the lead. But what can they do with this? You have to look at the slow play right now of E4, trying to test the mentals, but Trophies isn't going to clean up the nades, gives you knowledge that there are players towards the A side or towards the B side for this take through garage, and even more nades that should confirm it. It's going to be a B take. Rawson going to be there to put some shots and scare them a bit. He's going to back up, just waiting for these players to pull out. It's only a matter of time before they just start bursting through here. Jumper, you know he wants to. They're just holding back. They cost us the first one out. Rawson's going to take him out. Rawson almost finding 2, but Jumper cleans him. Good. Exile helps out. FSU take the lead. A big swing round right there.
It was a really big swing round. Now you put yourself up on map and series point for FSU Garnet. Man, did it get close to. Imagine if you're from Rawson's perspective, they were another kill away, if not just a kill in a 3 quarters away from getting that artillery strike. Would have loved to have that, both defensively, if not to try to retake one of these sites. It's not going to be coming on through, but the raw gun skill has been just the truest form of success for FSU Garnet. Double positive, 12-5 for Rawson. My God, if they've been in the search and destroy. Costa's trying to answer back 10-6 for E4 Knights. But it's going to have to be a defensive round for E4 Knights to try to end it here and send it to a round 11. Has not been strong so far in FSU Garnet. They're looking to put it that much more further with a very fast hit over towards B.
Look, Jumper puts some shots into Moth and immediately backs up. The nades are going to be clearing the market, but you have a split between Ali and Piano. Jumper, the first line. RJ sets up for the flank. This could be huge. He's even going to take the first blood on Moth. That's a big kill. He's going to end his streak and provide a little bit of pressure on the back line. Jumper now. He has to win this fight, and so he is to go down now for FSU. Falling at the seams, you have Exile in Equal. Now, you saw 2v4 earlier for E4 Knights. Can FSU do that? They spot the beat of Exile. Not able to pin him up just yet. Staying alive here in Garage. 29 seconds to make a move. It has to be the B side here. Jumper's going to take some shots. Stay alive behind the van. Equal looking to clean it up, but you have to worry about Piano. You're going to get that trade, and Exile's going to keep you forward, but 17 seconds. Costa, you go down. It gives a chance now for Exile, but a nade to the face. That's going to hurt, and you're going to be cleaned up. E4 Knights are going to tie. Give us a round 11. Now, let me tell you proper. 2 Florida schools. Miami game 5. A round 11. How much better can this get?
Well, I got really scary there. I'm not going to lie. You heard me say just one more kill. If Exile found one more kill, they would have had an artillery strike. 2 artillery strikes close to being earned for FSU Garnet that they wish that they were going to have inside of this round 11. But at least they were able to hold on to the kill. So they were going to be able to be finding themselves here on defense. This is where they really started to find their strides in the many of rounds that they did win in a row. Those were 4 rounds in a row that didn't get stopped by E4 Knights to put it here in round 11. The bomb, solo carried by RJ, is moving past the pool to play with an A execute, while the rest of the team for E4 Knights are down over by B. This is a very risky setup, but I have seen it work, and I think Exile, they might have just seen the shoulder of RJ.
And if Exile finds this, they would just put a total stomp in this strategy. Now, we've seen FSU play the mental game on their attacks, and it looks like E4 Knights are trying to do the exact same here. Just putting some noise to the B site and allowing RJ to do his thing. But you're looking at Rawson and Moth. 2 players have been stand out in Piano with these SMGs on their defense. And I imagine that they just want to push through and look for anything. But so passive from each team. Neither wants to make the first move proper.
Look at number 4. Look at RJ. He's moving. Moving on the map. He's trying to clear the site all by himself. There was noise that was made over by B, like you said. And that's going to cause E4 Knights to rotate off. Exile wasn't here to watch RJ push the site. They're going to get the plant, but Moth, they find first blood. This might just go right back on his head. Exile has a perfect angle to watch the exit, but can't find the kill.
Oh, if he found that kill, that would have been even better for FSU, but chance for E4 Knights to bring this back, and Costa! Oh, that's huge! Breaks it right open! RJ, don't do it to him! Equal staying alive, taking a little bit of shots, but RJ just doesn't want to give him the fight. They're just waiting 23 seconds. You know you need 7.5. Jumper through the middle of the map's going to take down Moth. 2 players left for FSU. They're flooding on in, looking for the fights. Jumper's on his head. RJ finds the last one. E4 Knights, they close game 5 in a round 11.
Wow. 4 rounds in a row from FSU Garnet to put it around 10. A round win for E4 Knights to win in round 11. Jumper finds 2 at the end there. And again, this entire play doesn't happen unless Jumpers throw some very early shots underneath the garage. Exile saw RJ's shoulder inside of Tiki. They knew that there was a solo player over towards A, but it's so hard. Seymour, it's just so damn tough to be able to read that that's the bomb carrier, that that's the committal play. And again, like you talked about, if Exile found that 1 kill on RJ, that would have stopped it from happening. But again, the noise was made by B. That forced the rotation from Exile away from Visitors Building to try to go reinforce the B side because the hit might be coming from there. We were down to 30 seconds at that time. The hit had to have been coming somewhere. That just allowed RJ to clear the site. Hey, I'm here. It's free. I'll grab myself an IC on the way out. By the way, I planted the bomb. They get the help. Jumper plays through the middle of the map, catches 2 players on rotation. It just falls apart at the seams, man. Oh, that is just so tough. But you see the scoreline above our heads here, folks. It was a very hard battle. Search and destroy 6-2 for Raid. And you thought that was how it was going to go here for E4 Knights. But boy, howdy, did FSU really put up a good fight. 250 to 137 in that crossword strike hardpoint. Moscow hardpoint was a barn burner, of which we got the pleasure to be able to see E4 Knights win out on a respawn because, man, they need the regain after getting smacked in that garrison control. But Seymour, what a great series. Oh, my God.
I mean,
I'm sweating.
What more could you ask for an Alpha stream for tonight? I mean, both matches that we've seen on Alpha have been phenomenal. I mean, Carleton, they just took a 3-1 over Rutgers, and now a game number 5 to follow that one up. It's only going to get better from here as FSU does fall for the first time in the CCL, especially in the Metropolitan Division. I mean, this is probably the biggest match we'd see in that division, and to see E4 Knights come out on top, I can't wait to see what they can do in the rest of this. Now, it's been myself, Seymour, and Proper bringing you all of this action for game number 2. Game number 3 going to be coming up shortly, and it is going to be the University of Illinois Edwards, the Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville versus University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And that is going to be cast once again by the sexy McCornmeal and Mick. And that's going to be coming up after another short break. So stay tuned for some more big time alpha action for CCL.